Hello, everyone, and welcome to the July session of the Wisconsin Bankers Association Compliance Corner. On behalf of WBA Legal, certainly Scott and myself hope that you're enjoying this great summer and have been able to get a vacation in here or there. And as is our typical routine, we try to alert you to various items, not to add work to your desktop, but to at least make sure that you're aware of some recent agency issuances and some things to take into consideration, perhaps from a policy update or just FYI. So you will find that this particular video will follow the format that we have done previously, where Scott and I will walk you through a number of PowerPoint slides with information. And we've also included for you links to resources so you can actually pull the specific item to review any one particular item more closely, or to forward that to someone else in your organization that is their responsibility to manage and monitor. So with that, we have our agenda, so to speak, or the topics that we're going to be covering today. And what you'll see is we've actually broken them down into two different categories, that being state versus federal. And so first going through the state, just because it's more local, here you'll see that we have some actions by agencies we want to make sure that you're aware of, and a couple items from the legislature where we have two important acts that we'll be talking about. And then on the federal side, we have kind of a mixed match of everything. We have some FAQs, we have some data, and we have some more important guidance that I will be talking about a bit more in detail than just mentioning the particular release. So with that, let's jump into the particular items. And again, we're going to cover state first and then head on to federal. So first up, Scott, you've got some state items to cover with the group, please.
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks, Heather. And so, as Heather had said, we've got a few things to make you aware of. The first one here is regarding misleading home warranty mail solicitations. And so we see this come around again every so often. And so we've talked to many of you who have received this in the past. And essentially you have customers who are getting these letters, these solicitations that seem to represent them as knowing about their loan or even coming in seeming to come on behalf of your institution and misleading the customers concerning them. And in these particular situation, what is happening now that generated this alert is that scammers are sending mailers out. And again, this is to your customers, warning them about expiration of their home warranty and asking them for payments and them for information. And again, it might have the name of the financial institution, your bank, or even your logo directly on that. And we've seen them where they do have that on there. And again, it is misrepresenting, it is misleading, and it is confusing to customers who see this. And so they call with questions about this. And again, it's coming from a scam. So they shouldn't be answered. Customers shouldn't be answering them. They should be aware of them. And DFI put out an alert that you can actually see in the link that we have. And so below this video, within the description, you'll have a link directly to DFI's alert on this. That's worth taking a look at. DFI describes what these are, where they're coming from, how to spot them, what the warning is. It's very consumer focused. So it's something that's designed to make consumers aware. So it's something that you can point your consumers to, but also consider what channels you have available to make customers aware of this, be it through, through online, through social media, something that you might have, which most appropriate for where your customers are most receptive to. But this is a good resource to point them to as well. We have resources on our website, including within the Mortgage Lending Best Practice Library too, to assist in making your customers aware of this so that they aren't caught off guard by it or misled, or calling the bank, again, upset or concerned or wondering why they are getting this. And again, if you see these, you can report them to DFI. You can send them to us as well. We can forward them to DFI on your behalf, particularly if they use the bank's name, as that's a violation of state law. Misuse of bank name or logo, and that's something that DFI has enforcement action for. We've sent those to DFI in the past. They've requested that we continue to send them. So if you are getting those, your customers are sending them in, make sure that you're making aware of that. Next item that we wanted to make you aware of just really quick on this one. So there's a telemarketing campaign going on, and this Operation Stop Spam Calls. So this is a nationwide effort to essentially crack down on illegal telemarketing calls. This is primarily an effort to target operations running robocalls. I'm sure we've all gotten them ourselves, for example. But since banks often run automated marketing calls as well, we wanted to make sure that you are aware of this, make sure that you're working with your vendors or systems to make sure you're following all of the applicable do not call list requirements, auto dialing requirements, TCPA requirements. Again, there's nothing new here, but because there is this ongoing effort, this campaign of cracking down on telemarketing calls, that it's an opportunity to take a look at that. And again, just be aware of what's going on and the efforts that are being conducted nationwide. I will turn it over to Heather now to take a look at some other state items.
Super. Thanks, Scott. And just wanted to add on to Scott's statement. We know that many of our mortgage lenders, they receive frustrating phone calls from their mortgage applicants about these types of robocalls. So we also wanted to share the AG item to alert you that the state hears the complaints and they are trying to cut down on those bad calls. So we may not see it immediately, but it's good to know that the DOJ has joined other states in trying to cut those back. So on this particular slide, Scott and I wanted to make sure that you were aware of two key legislative items that really do bring relief to the financial institution as a whole. And then also the one particular piece might also affect your deposit customers. So the first act is Act 12. That's the actual act that repeals Wisconsin's longstanding personal property tax. So each of our banks, we all had to report on this particular tax each year, and it was a burden, and it still is a burden. And so we finally have that repealed. Caveat to that particular statement is that this is going to be something applicable in 2024. So you're going to want to still track the information that you were previously tracking for this current year, 2023, but know going forward that you'll find some reprieve there. We also wanted to include for you the link to Act 19, which was actually the state budget. So as you would have heard Scott or myself previously speak about the budget, or in listening to information from our government relations teams, Lorenzo and Tyler, you will know that there's been many a month spent on the budget, and we actually have a final budget that, again, is Act 19. And one of the important components of that act related to the financial industry, banking industry, is the tax exemption for income earned on small business and ag purpose loans. There's also relief for the lowest two tax income brackets on the personal side. There was also an increase in retailer vendor compensation, which is another way of talking about swipe fees, that the retailers received a little bit more income on that particular front. There's also a new tax exemption, sales and use tax exemption for a new type of call center or equipment or software used for a qualified data center, as those words are defined. And then there's also several increases in funding for our ag sector. A number of different programs have received increased and ongoing financial support through the various programs offered by the state. More detailed information of that you can find in the July WBA Compliance Journal. But more importantly, there will be a free webinar, a free member webinar that's upcoming in early August, that being August 10th, that the sole purpose for the 1 hour webinar is to articulate what the changes were in the latest budget. So if you've not already signed up, make sure your financial institution is signed up. You can do so through the education website. We have an individual with Ide Bailey who'll be walking us through those tax updates, and will be very helpful for you to listen to. So with that, I'm going to turn the tables back over to Scott.
Yeah, so we just wanted to swap over to federal items now. And so the first thing we wanted to make you aware of is that CFPB did recently issue a new set of Section 1071 FAQs. And so this is something where CFPB has been putting out resources frequently regarding the 1071 small business data collection rules. And so continuing to build on the resources that are available there. So as you're thinking through implementation, make sure that you take a look at that. Just a couple of other items to make you aware of on this slide. We have 2022 HMDA mortgage lending data is available from CFPB as well. The 2023 list of distressed or underserved non-metropolitan middle-income geographies. And FDIC supervised institutions have also been encouraging institutions to complete the voluntary diversity self-assessment. And so this is something that you might have sent around, but FDIC sent this out recently, just this month. And again, it's not an examination requirement. It's not something where the results are shared with the examiner, but it is truly something that FDIC wants to use to promote what the programs that they're working on. And so this is due by September 30th, and FDIC is encouraging everyone to do this. Again, it is a self-assessment and not associated with the exams. Then we also wanted to make you aware that the Federal Reserve's FedNow Service is now live. And so this includes service for instant payments. It's available for banks of all sizes. So it's something that you can take a look at and sign up for. And any banks that are using this, it's on the app, the website, other interfaces to send instant payments directly from bank accounts. So take a look at that. There's a link in the description for this as well, but you can find additional resources, including an FAQ that's going to have more information on that.
Right. The link that we provided actually takes you directly to all of the resources that the FedNow folks have created. There's a whole plethora of videos, short videos that one can look at and learn greater information about how the transactions are to flow, the costs, the accessibility. It's very, very helpful information through those resources. If you have an interest in utilizing those services, you may want to walk through those if you've not already. Also know that according to the FedNow folks, there can be somewhat of a lengthy implementation period from when you first start planning all the way through to when you actually release it. It could be 18 months. So it's something to maybe take a look at now that it's live and see how that might affect help your small businesses or customers in general, and look to see about implementation because it will take a little bit of time to work through. But moving on, Scott?
Yeah, just a couple other federal items we wanted to take you through, just two more on this slide, in fact. So the first one we wanted to take a look at is that the agencies have issued a final policy statement on commercial real estate accommodations and workouts. So this updates the 2009 policy statement that we were working on from before. There's now a new section on short-term loan accommodations. And so the policy statement acknowledges this as a tool, a potentially valuable tool to help borrowers where appropriate, along with some risk management principles. There's a bunch of new loan workout examples in there as well. There's a whole list on the page of just a bulleted list of all these various workout examples that's super helpful. An appendix discussing valuation concept for income producing real property. And there's also another appendix section with relevant accounting and supervisory guidance that follows CECL standards. So again, that's worth taking a look at, and that is in the links to that description, the new policy statement. And then second, we also have an FDIC letter regarding reported of estimated uninsured deposits on the call report. So before discussing this, one thing to note, that particular section on the call report only applies to those institutions over $1 billion in total assets. So depending on whether you meet that threshold or not, this might not be a field that you are reporting, but for those institutions, and this isn't a new concept either. This is something that's been on the call report, but there is a requirement that has been longstanding to report estimated uninsured deposits. And the call report instructions have specific method for making that estimate. But FDIC put this letter out to go through those methods, to go through that calculation and those reference items, and essentially call attention to it, point out those specific instructions within the call report, and note that if you are reporting on that field, to make sure that you're following those, to go through it, ensure that it's correct and accurate. That was the whole point of the FIL in that regard.
Yeah, make sure you work with your call report experts on that particular topic. Nothing new, but just something to be alerted to.
Yep, so just take a look at that. Again, the references are all in there. FDIC has that in the letter, and you can find that in the link in the description below. The with that, we will look to wrap up our compliance corner for July. Of course, as always, continue to keep an eye on the WBA website as we have tools and resources available to you, publications and training opportunities. And in fact, in addition to what's currently on there, I wanted to make you aware of some new resources that Heather and I have been working on for you. So the first one we're very pleased to be able to share with you is the account titling video series. And this is a library of videos that are available for various account titling topics. Really everything from beginning to end on account titling, you can find a video on it there. This will be available on the WBA website soon, but it is live and available for use currently as of this video. And you can find it by searching in Google. And if you just go into Google or another search engine for that matter, your preferred search engine, if you will, you can just put in WBA account titling video series and you'll see it there. It'll link you to our CVent website where you can see all of the resources that are available on that video series, all of what's made available to you and how you can access to it. And of course, if you have any questions on that or are having trouble finding it, don't hesitate to reach out to myself and Heather and we can help you get access to that and learn more about it as well. A second resource that we have available that we are now launching and are very excited to call attention to is that we will be offering in-house training. And this will either be in person or virtual, depending on what suits your needs and what is best and your preference for how you would prefer to have this training conducted. We have a variety of topics that are available. And so if it's something that you're interested in learning more about or booking for, you can read more on our website. It's on the compliance section of our website. But we're very happy to be able to have this opportunity to provide training. We know that many of you are very busy. There's a lot of topics, be them old topics or new topics that you're maybe looking to refresh on or update on, or maybe specific areas to delve into that we're looking to assist in the training efforts on that. Be it, again, something that we could come out and train in person and work with you and your staff, or set up some type of virtual opportunity to discuss that and go over those aspects. So again, take a look at that list. We have a whole list there of suggested items. But if there's something that you really want to narrow in on, be it on that list or be it something that's off that list that you're really looking for that specific training on, let us know. Don't hesitate to reach out, as we want to be flexible. We want to do the training where we can help you. And the goal is really to tailor it for what you need and what you want and what you're looking for. So be that maybe supplementing additional training you already have, or narrowing in on an area that you don't have or that you feel is somewhat deficient right now. Don't hesitate to bring us in. Heather and myself are happy to help with that. And that's what it's going to be designed to do. Then we have a new resource as well directly on our compliance page that you can find now. And this is a lender's guide to the Marital Property Act. So the Marital Property Act, of course, being a topic where it's been longstanding, so there's nothing new here, but there are frequent questions on it. And as all of you likely know, Wisconsin is unique in its treatment of marital property. And so the long and short of it is that this guide was really designed to put all of that in perspective and gather all of the questions that we've really encountered from the years of working with the Marital Property Act and put them into an FAQ format. And the goal is to make this easily accessible while also having references to the law. So it's a great starting point to help understand the Marital Property Act. It's also a great reference if you've already been dealing with the Marital Property Act, but sometimes you need to refer to it to understand what these various forms are, what the underwriting considerations are, the interplay between the Marital Property Act and the Wisconsin Consumer Act, or maybe if you've got new forms and you're wondering what particular forms are for. Again, it is designed to be encompassing in how a lender approaches that. So take a look at those. Again, two new, very exciting resources that we hope you're as excited for as we are. Definitely take a look at those. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to reach out. And of course, the compliance hotline, the legal call line is available as well. If you have any questions on anything at all, don't hesitate to reach out to myself and Heather. So with that, would like to wrap up and close our July Compliance Corner. Thank you for joining us, and we will talk to you next month.